Okay, so this was caught in Earth's atmosphere. It is called a sprite, and it actually has fascinating connections to fairy mythology and plasma that's real. So these are still a mystery to scientists. They don't know what triggers them. Because they only last a few seconds, it's hard to study them. These are actually what are called cold plasma phenomena, not the same as regular lightning. Okay, so these are all what are called transient luminous events, or trolls. Now we'll get into the Nordic mythology. So these were sprites. There are ghosts, which are green optical emissions. There are also elves, emissions of light in very low frequency perturbations. They're rings of plasma. And there's even pixies, which are these orbs that come atop of thunderstorms. So the weird connection with mythology is when people saw fairies in the normal world, these might have just been plasma events on Earth that were, yes, intelligent and conscious. People saw these in history, and they call them will-o-wisps, and they happen right on Earth. Also happened in space, like the Naga fireballs. It was probably also ball lightning, which is a plasma event as well. But on Earth, they attributed will-o-wisp to ghosts. They're even in the Disney movie Brave. They're in books. This book especially is these intelligent balls come to Earth to communicate with us, to tell us that we're bothering them. The craziest part is the fairies were actually associated with time distortion, strange disappearances, and the overlap between worlds and interdimensionality. When plasma appears, something mystical is happening. More in my book, link in bio. So these events happen. Yes, they're rare, and if they're happening more, also plasma events are earthquakes. Look it up. Actually, I'll look it up for you. There is a theory that connects earthquakes and plasma discharges. They're also known as earthquake lights, or rainbow lights you see in the sky before an earthquake. These are earthquake lights. It is a real studied thing. These plasma events might be happening more and more, not because the world is ending, but because we are awakening, and more plasma events equals awakening of consciousness. And that might sound like a leap to you, but it was the same in mythology. These plasmatic appearances are, yes, in science, a literal actual energetic exchange, which causes luminescence, like the aurora borealis or these will-o-wisps appearing. But to stretch it further, it might actually be a portal where consciousness can come through, or is viewing us or trying to communicate with us in some way. And I'm telling you, I know this sounds a little bit lunatic, but in the future, very near future, I think this will come to be an actual normal thing. A very mystical, metaphysical, and natural human thing. There's even a tribe called the Tuatha De Danann. Dana, my name is Danann. These were luminous, otherworldly beings said to come here from the sky in a great mist, and they rolled over Ireland before retreating back to the other world. They arrived in ships that flew in the air, or beings of light that could materialize and dematerialize at will. Their arrival was marked by a great storm or fire. Plasma. They were said to be divine intelligences or masters of light and wisdom. And Danu was supposed to be their goddess. She was linked to the primal force of creation, and her children were the Tuatha De Danann. They were the original alchemists. She supposedly could shapeshift into animals, embodied the maiden, mother, and a crone, making her the triple goddess. Her name is also associated with the word good, meaning of benevolent nature. This is interestingly also linked to the tribe of Dan. They were one of the lost tribes of Israel. Oh, and they were known for their mysterious lineage, advanced metalwork, shipbuilding, and esoteric traditions. Metalwork, shipbuilding, plasma, there is something called the Jellium model, which has to do with plasma and metal and potential shapeshifting. Basically, the Jellium model frequently is used to study plasmas, particularly in the context of understanding how electrons behave collectively in the presence of a background of positive charge. For example, it is used to study the behavior of electrons in metals or the surface of metallic nanoparticles. Why does this matter? Basically, this might explain UFOs and UAPs that are made of metal but are not real metal. They are shape-shifting metals. They are once plasma in the atmosphere, potentially like some of even the orbs we're seeing. And by the time they land to Earth, they harden and materialize into this shape-shifting metal that cannot be ran without a higher consciousness, because this plasma connects with higher consciousness. Because this is evolved consciousness using plasma as UFOs. They're not just going to be these metallic, archaic ships. And why this is so interesting to me is even Lockheed Martin has made shape-shifting metals, and yeah, they don't call them that, but they're literally morphing aircraft structures that they're looking into making that have flexible skin material and memory alloys that change the wing's shape. And they also call them morphing systems. You guys, this is definitely plasma, weird UFO stuff. And they're also studying and utilizing plasma and nuclear fusion. But plasma and this plasma propulsion is way more sustainable. Even this guy in China is making plasma jet engines, literally using air and making it into plasma. I'm saying that in a very simple way. It's way more complex than that, but it is more sustainable and efficient to jet propulsion systems. And the reason I say all this is because all of this weirdly connects back somehow to plasmas, female goddesses, these interstellar plasma events, and these things in the sky. I might have already said this, but my video got deleted and I had to make it twice. These plasma events, whether in space or on Earth, obviously point to some type of energetic, luminescent exchange where I believe that consciousness is coming through it. I'm not saying that this is conscious. I'm just saying that this is representing some type of energetic exchange we might not understand. And I do think what people are starting to witness, whether you call them plasmoids or higher intelligences, and people literally are accounting for telepathic exchanges with these things. This is not fake. This is really happening. Plasma has something to do connecting all of this weirdly with mythology, with science, with these higher intelligences. And there is a distinct connection with plasma and consciousness and what is happening right now. So it's not weird to say when these things in the air might have crashed and they were maybe plasma in the air and then crashed as metal, they were just crystallizing into the shape-shifting metal that cannot be ran without having the higher consciousness, which is why everyone's probably studying them and don't know how they work, but they do know how the shape-shifting metals work. I think what people haven't connected yet is there will be in the future some way to connect consciousness with this, like that we can drive these things with our consciousness. On the forefront of this also is this guy named Mark Hersam. Now we're just on a complete, tailspin into all of this, so I'm just going to keep going. He talks about how AI uses too much energy. It is not sustainable. Nanotech is the solution. Nanotech is very close to what we're talking about. What they are basically studying at, I believe, Northwestern is nanotechnology, understanding the manipulation of matter at nanoscale. It has different applications. It can do with sports equipment. They can apply it to antimicrobial uses, clothes. But what I think is most interesting, they basically unlock this paper-thin material. It is called a 2D sheet of copper boride. It is flexible. It is conductive. It can mimic how the brain processes information using a tiny fraction of the energy AI uses. And the hilarious comparison that Mark used in his TED Talk about this was how AI beat a human at chess and the amount of massive power AI took to beat that human compared to the human who literally, he said, just ate a single hot dog and still could beat the computer at chess or whatever, came close, or I think beat him, whatever it is. The point is our brain is like a master efficiency, powerful thing with power. I know I said that ridiculous, but the brain is so much more efficient than AI. And basically, they're coming up with these energy efficient materials that can work as a type of more sustainable AI. And copper boride might be the key to unlocking that, or the start. Either way, I think that this emerging field is more where we should be going and focusing on in the future. And I would even go a step further, and this is just me, riffing on what I think, but I believe consciousness obviously originates outside the brain. The brain, yes, does process it, and more, I think, comes up with ways to respond consciously. But I think that we feel reality first. We sense it first with our emotions and senses. And then I think it's our nervous system first and then the brain. So my challenge would be, okay, how do we come up with things that sense and feel? And how do we figure out the science of emotion versus just thinking and information processing with the brain? I think that is where really we will unlock some amazing things, and where what I hope to eventually study in the future once I frickin' publish this book, which will be in a few months. I know this one was a huge rant. The video, as I said, got deleted, so hopefully I did okay at explaining things. I was trying to rush to get it all in because I only had 10 minutes. I could literally care less how smart I sound. This is not what this is about. This is about, sparking curiosity, giving people new ideas, connecting dots that maybe haven't been connected, and helping people think outside the box. Or really feel outside the box. Anyway, once again, my new book comes out in 9/9. The link is in my bio. I love you guys so much.